Welcome to the channel, people. For this wall decor, we're going to need 3 of the long pallets, and we're going to also need to cut up some popsicle sticks to create our little bond in the back. I like to cut them about this size, and I cut usually in between 4 to 6 because I'm never sure how many I'm going to use until I get into it. However, for this one I only end up using 4. To create my bonds, I love using wood glue and hot glue, and I make sure not to overlap them because they will cancel each other out. Once I get the hot glue on there, I then just place the little bits of the popsicle sticks over top. Plus, I think this is a good place to put the wood glue because it's going to smoosh in down to those cracks, kind of creating an extra bond between the 2 pieces. And decided to let this dry overnight. Now, a few hours will be fine if that's what you want to do. However, I'm stapling this nautical rope on here. You can use Gorilla Glue Gel or E6000. That will probably work just fine. But I like using a stapler, even if I'm using it backwards and the staples are not going in there. I don't know what was wrong with me in this stapler, but it wasn't coming together. It wasn't processing, and it took me a minute to really figure out that I needed to thin out the nautical rope. We're in there. That one's in there. Oh my God. Once I thinned out the nautical rope, the staples went in with no problem. So learn from my mistake, people. Thin out the ends and then use your staples, put it in there, however you want to say it, and it will work out just fine. I took some antique Waverly wax. Not getting fancy schmancy here. We're just going to put a little bit on and dry brush it. And that's all I'm doing in terms of painting this. I wanted to just keep this really neutral, hence neutral DIYs. And then we're going to use some mini glass containers from Dollar Tree. I know they have several of these that have little corks in them. I like these ones because of the wider opening at the top. And I thought, let's put a little stencil on here. You know, I have all these different stencils, and I thought, let's use some Waverly white chalk paint, put the stencil in there. We're just going to dab it on in. It's going to be magnific-amazing. And then it kind of wasn't. It looked like a glob of paint. So I just wiped that off and then went back in for another attempt, and it turned out much better. I put a little stencil design on each one of the glass jars and then grabbed some paper to decoupage this little wood slice from a pack you can pick up at Walmart. I put a little bit of Mod Podge on here, nothing heavy, a thin amount because we're doing some paper, and then I'm taking my sander and trying to play it off, even though I just dropped it on the floor. I picked it back up, sanded it off camera, and then took some antique Waverly wax to finish up the edges. I then grabbed some of these laser cutouts that was sent to me in another box from another subscriber. Thank you very, very much for these, and painted them with some white Waverly chalk paint. Then took some hot glue and put them down into the center of our pretty wall piece. And be careful because that glue, it will smoosh in between those little holes and burn you. So be careful. I took some black paint and did around the edges, and then found some little floral wire, so this way we could wrap it around the top of our jars to be able to twist in the back and then attach to our frame that we have built here with our pallets, our little wall decor piece. And we're going to be you'll be able to remove these, as nothing's going to be set in stone. So if you want to change the mini glass jars out, because Dollar Tree does have many different options, you do you. I'm just giving you the ideas. You take them, you remix them, and make them into whatever makes you fuzzy inside. Okay, now I did kind of stagger the bottles in different spots, and then just added some little greenery. So much stuff would look so cute like these. I love how this turned out. This is one of my favorite ideas yet with the pallets. You'll need 2 of these wood slices that come in a pack from Hobby Lobby, and you'll need 2 of the longer wood pallets. You will need to make sure your wood slices are roughly about the same size, and then mark them roughly about the same spot in a little line on the bottom, because we're going to need to cut them. Take a pallet, you'll need 3, and then you'll need 2. So you'll need 3 pieces of your pallet, 2 pieces of the pallet. You're going to use a miter saw or a miter box, and use a miter saw, and I'm cutting flat bottom on each piece. And then this is my 2 piece, and then I also cut the 3 piece. I didn't cut them all on camera. Be careful with all of this. They're small pieces, they're tedious. Take your time. There's no need to rush. If you're using a miter box, you got this, okay? To attach the 2 pieces with the 3 pieces to create our bench, I am going to take a tumbling block and add some hot glue and some wood glue to this. And then we are also going to need to let this bench sit. You're going to need to let it sit. You want to let it sit because we're going to do a lot of stuff to this, and we want to make sure that the pieces aren't popping off. And to start with, I'll just let you know, this is not real sturdy, okay? Especially because the hot glue and the wood glue are so close to touching, they cancel one another out almost. And I know this because my back popped off twice on me when I was trying to rush this, so I had to really let it sit. And I'm just letting you know, if you go to create this little bench look, okay, be careful. Once this dried, I then started marking spaces to try and find a little bit below the center of my wood slices. You're going to need a drill bit for this part because we're going to take a dowel and we're going to put it inside of our wood slice to give our little bench something to set on. This is just kind of a way. I'm sure there are other ways to do this if you do not want to have to do this part, but I want it to give this something actually set inside the wood rounds. Once I had the holes, I then cut my little dowels to size, popped them in there with some wood glue, and then I took 2 little cubes. So you're going to need the Dollar Tree cubes, or if you want to have something else that you want to use, you go right ahead. But see how this is kind of sitting on here? Okay, you're going to take 2 of the cubes with some hot glue and wood glue. You're going to need to also make sure that you're not overlapping this. This was a process. I'm doing the best I can to kind of show you how I did it with both and get them to stay. But I took the 2 cube blocks and squeezed them tight around that dowel. And then I put a tumbling block. I don't know why I didn't show it. I'm failing here as a YouTuber. Jeez, Brandi, you done forgot to show them. But I put a tumbling block over top of the 2 square blocks to really kind of just settle it all in. And then you can kind of see it there. And then I took some white Waverly chalk paint and just dry brushed it on there. Again, another little laser cutout. I did want to show you that these have some little bits, and you know, you might need to pull them out. It's not a big deal, but I noticed that, and in case other people get it and they're like, you're not the only one. Okay, it happens to me too. And then once I painted the little owl white, I then took some antique Waverly wax and went over the whole piece, just kind of giving it a little once over. Found me some transfers. You could completely leave this as it is. It's beautiful without the transfers, but I had to put them in here because I had them, you know. And then I'm taking some Gorilla Glue gel. I was worried that the hot glue would not give me a good enough bond for this. And I placed my little owl on the outside of each one of the little wood slices. So just in case you thought I was running out of palette ideas, I'm here to prove you wrong. I feel like I haven't said that in a couple videos. Anyhow, you're going to need 3 of these small pallets. Line them up like this, okay? Line them up. Grab your popsicle stick, okay? Cut it to size. So this way it fits most of the middle. Add your wood glue, you know, in them creases so it smooshes down when we press it. Okay, get your hot glue on both sides, so we're going to get a nice sturdy bond and press it all on there. Okay, let this sit. You don't have to let this sit real long. Okay, then you're going to need to take another palette and we're going to cut this. Okay, we're going to cut the two ends and leave the middle piece to itself. I'm on a mission to figure something out to do with that little piece, but you see how I have just the two? That's what we're gonna need. So be very careful with this. Okay, it's a tiny piece. If you can, finagle, please, like I did over there, to hold it in place so you don't have to put your fingers anywhere close. So here's two options. One, we can create the base with two tumbling tower blocks. They hang over a little bit. Or two, we can use 6 of the small blocks who fit on here perfectly for our base, for our bottom of the little, it's like a garden, a hanging garden piece. I don't know. Write in the comments below what you would call this. I call it a like hanging garden. I have seen some of these similar with like actual boxes and stuff from Dollar Tree, but I had never seen them done with pallets. So here we are. Again, with our wood glue and our hot glue, and we're just going to stick our little 6 pieces on here, and then we're going to add the sides. And again, with the wood glue and the hot glue, and then I'm using one little cube for the side, and then we're going to take the bottom part of our pallets that we cut out. You could do more, okay? You could do this on a larger scale as well and do several, but I'm just doing 2 with the idea because I can't spare too many pallets. Okay, I got lots of ideas that I'm trying to make, and I've been blessed by having so many of you send me stuff, so I'm trying to make sure that I use them sparingly and very exactly on DIYs to give you all ideas. Okay, so here's our idea, and here's our basic planter idea, our wall hanging planter, or whatever you call it. Comment down below. Again, like I said, name it. We're going to spray paint it because this is my favorite and the easiest way in my mind to do pallets. Let it dry. Once it's dry, I have these beautiful stickers that were also in my box. Okay, we're going to add them on here. These look just like the metal pieces that you can get from Hobby Lobby. Have you seen them? Seriously, I cannot believe they're stickers. Anyhow, using another little laser cutout, just says family, taking some more black paint, and we're dry brushing it on here just to accent it up. A little bit of greenery, and smooshing it down in the cracks. And believe it or not, this held really well in place. In the back behind it, you could put whatever you want, but I just thought some florals would look nice, and that's all I did to create this look. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, people. I love how these turned out. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite. You all know how much I love pallet DIYs. Wood DIYs of any kind, really. It doesn't matter what it is. I love making stuff with wood. Let me know in the comments. I want to hear it. You know I love chatting with you. Until next time, people. Bye!